All right.
I just can't see you. It's annoying. That's why I keep looking to the side because I can't.
You can't
I'm
see
All
seeing
right.
my webcam. No, because my home computer's over there, and
Oh,
so I transferred everything
Okay, I
over.
think we're live.
All right.
all right. What's up, guys? How's everybody doing? This is Matt, Donna, and Kyle. We are members of the board at the Praxeum nonprofit that we are putting together so that we can start hosting annual Star Wars Legends conventions. And we're going to start doing these live streams. I mean, we might turn it into an actual podcast somewhere down the line, but it's just a chance for us to talk Star Wars and to keep you guys updated on exactly what it is that we are doing.
We're
Um,
figuring out whether this is worthwhile and something to keep doing, or if it's like a junk idea. We'll see how
I
it goes.
mean, yeah, exactly. And then we'll go from there. Um, Today we are going to be talking about Boba Fett in Legends because Book of Boba Fett has been in the news a lot recently, and Disney's getting their shot at the character, but it's a character that has already had like a very in-depth history. And we're going to talk about it a little bit. But before we do, I just wanted to let everybody know that we are still working on the conclave. We are meeting every week, um, 4 times a month, sometimes for, 2+ hours. Right now, we're just waiting on the paperwork to get approved, and we're going to have an official website. We're going to have membership packages. We are probably going to start looking to start taking in some fan fiction and fan art to showcase some of your guys' own love of Star Wars. Um, but yeah, all right. What's up, guys? Got all that out of the way. Um, let's
Hey.
talk
Oh
about
yeah.
Boba Fett.
You forgot memberships. Look for that too.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do we want to talk
And
about that like on stream or?
well, I mean, just to let people know that we're doing it, we can get more in detail when the time comes once we get
Hmm.
the official LLC
We figure out
approval
the
and
details.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. But they're coming and in the next couple of weeks we're definitely gonna have more about that. So, but yeah, so Donna, you've been
Yay.
watching Book of Boba Fett. I have not.
I have. I've watched all three. I watched the last one. It's about half an hour, and then spent 4 hours live streaming about it and debating, and two different live streams debating about it because it's interesting
Yeah,
is
I've
the
not seen
term.
any of it. My plan is to like watch it all after it comes out and binge it, but I have to see Bad Batch first.
It
I'll
is a
just
very bingeable. I could see you just, yeah, get it all at once.
some shows
It's
binge well,
yeah,
some don't. WandaVision
true.
is not a bingeable show. That one was really cool to
Mm-mm,
watch like episode to episode as it came out.
agree.
On the other hand, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I regretted not binging that because I should. That one's not very good episode to episode, but it binges well.
It's bizarre. I wish they'd kind of figured that out before they release these.
They probably
Yeah.
don't plan that much knowing Disney. But anyway,
Mm.
so Donna,
Yeah.
how does it
Hey.
like I mean, you also know Legends Boba Fett very well.
Yes.
So
Hmm. Well,
how
fairly
different?
well. A very general thing, but I know a lot. Not all the details, but I find if you compare what Tamora Morrison has done as Boba Fett in the show, to me he seems very much like Jango Fett or Tamora Morrison.
Ah,
Like he doesn't
fair enough.
seem as much Boba Fett. I don't know. Like if you compare his style and his mannerisms with what he did as Jango Fett in episode two, it aligns a lot better. Um, it's yeah, without giving too much away, it's still going with kind of the mold that's been happening where other younger other characters come and put him in his place as the old man. And
He's
honestly,
the
Boba
boomer.
Fett at this, yeah, he's the boomer. And on it, because Tamora
Bad
Morrison is
Jango boomer.
it's like 61 in real life, but the
Yeah, he's
problem
he's an
is
old guy.
the characters have that, or not quite, but like 30 something, because Boba Fett was 10 or 9 in episode 2. If you look how that plays
When's
out,
Book of Boba
like
Fett set?
5, let's see. What is Book of Boba Fett? It's right after episode 6, right after Return of the Jedi. It starts with him how he escapes the Sarlacc pit.
So yeah, that is
Yeah,
So,
like
so
4 years after.
yeah.
He should be like
Like,
30 something. He shouldn't
Wouldn't it
be
be more
that
like
old.
40 then?
or 40. Yeah, like 40.
Like
Yeah,
40
like
something.
40.
And he's obviously not 40. Like, very obviously. I mean, there's tons of shirtless helmet, and he takes off his helmet at the worst times, like when he sees enemies. It
What?
drives me crazy. Yes, it's terrible. Like, everything, Mando is, to me, the Mandalorian, Din Djarin, is much more Boba Fett than Boba Fett.
That's so
Um,
crazy.
so much more. The bounty hunting. I mean, in Legends, you see Boba Fett. He
Jango
wasn't.
Fett is a person. Boba Fett is a
Mhm.
professional. And then I
Well,
don't know.
well,
Well,
yeah.
He
Well,
he was
That's
modeled
it's
off of like Lucas originally modeled the character off of the Man with No Name, like
oh,
from the Clint Eastwood movies. And like
right.
that's kind of what he was in Legends. It's funny that you said that the Mandalorian was much more like it because the very first scene in that show when he's like in that bar and he gets into that gunfight and he cuts the dude in half with the door. That's like such a Man with No Name thing. Like
Hmm.
you're right, it does feel way more like Boba Fett. That was one
Yeah.
of the things that I was kind of worried that they were gonna do. And I mean, I haven't seen the show.
Neither
Okay,
have I.
so I will caveat. All right,
Well,
like
when you do, yeah.
I'm probably not the one to judge, but like they're in the marketing, they lead really heavy with this whole like crime boss Boba Fett, and straight away that seemed like it wasn't right to me. Like
Right.
Boba Fett's not Michael Corleone; he's the man with no name.
Boba Fett always, I mean, Boba Fett was literally created to be a bounty hunter. I mean, that's what his dad wanted, a
Yeah,
prodigy. Django wanted a prodigy that, like, would take what he knew and pass it on. That's the only school he's ever had was the school from his father and how to be a bounty hunter. So it's to him, he has always been like a lone ranger. And the one time, I mean,
exactly.
he's teamed up with people in the old legends and even in the new canon, which who knows if it's legends or not now, compared to them or canon anymore. That he kind of teams up, but every time he does, it goes badly for him. I mean, he's had a family before, and that ended poorly. Um, so he's kind of always been a lone ranger, and to see,
Yeah,
I don't find him wanting to go into middle management.
and I
Which
mean,
is what he's doing on Tatooine
it,
and the
it,
show.
it's almost like they're trying to like mix everything that he did in Legends in together. Because in Legends he
Mhm.
does like
Become
he has
Mandalore.
so much material. Like when I was reading, just to like refresh stuff, I was kind of like re-researching Boba Fett and like he has so much material in Legends. It is ridiculous. Like I
Yeah.
was looking at the list of all the things that he's appeared in and I was just like, "Oh my sweet Lord." And like the first half of his career, he starts off like still very much, man with no name type loner, like you said. Like I
Mhm.
can remember I can't remember the name of the book. I think it was in Bounty Hunter Wars, but there's this adventure he goes on where he takes on the shell huts and like he has to partner up with this team of other bounty hunters to do it. And he's just complaining the whole way. And he's like, I don't trust these people. He's,
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure one of them is like one of the bounty hunters. Man, it's been years since I read it. I really wish I remember the name of the book. You guys can tear me apart in the comments and scream what it is if you want to. But I remember one of the bounty hunters was like surgically grafted onto this enormous gun. He was like literally a giant walking gun, like a turbo laser.
Mhm.
And Boba, if I remember right, he sabotages it at the very beginning so that if he ever turns on him, he can just blow the dude up. Like
Yeah.
that's the kind of guy he was in the beginning, but he goes on this crazy journey
Remember what his
where
name is?
I can't remember, but if you look up Boba and shell huts, it'll be like the first thing that comes up. There's amazing art of that exact moment in the Essential Guide to Warfare, I think. It's amazing art where it's like him and the other bounty hunters and they got their backs together and they're just surrounded by huts wearing droid armor.
I
It's
think
the
the
most
guy's
coded.
name is Nulada. If you, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, Nulada.
something
I'm not
like that.
sure.
Man, that arc had it gets a lot of crap, and like it's not the best arc in Star Wars by any means, but it had so many cool aliens. Like it had the shell huts, it had that guy. There's this I can never remember the name of it, but he's like this like spider alien that Boba gets the contracts from. It's
Hmm.
the nuttiest thing, and he has this station that's completely covered in spider webs. Like that's how he like keeps track of the information. He just sits in the middle of this thing and he can like feel all the movement throughout the entire web. It was just really cool. I always love Star Wars cool aliens.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, though,
Yeah.
Boba goes
That's
on this
it.
journey where he goes from that type of thing to eventually like accepting the mantle of Mandalore, and like he does become a leader. You know, he's an old man by that point in Legends. He's like in his 60s, pretty much the way Tamora Morrison is now. And it feels like they tried to condense like the 40-year journey that he goes on, where he goes from bounty hunter to leader into like one arc. They're like, we'll make him a crime boss. And like it'll capture all those important moments.
They skipped a few.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think, well, if you look at Boba Fett as a character from Legends, there's three, I think, motivations for him, like, over his entire life. It seems like he's motivated to make his dad proud. It's like how to make a dead man
The
proud.
legacy.
Yeah.
The legacy. There's
That's probably the
his
biggest one.
devotion, not exactly to the Mandalorian code, because he kind of, like his father, he develops an altered sense of it, but it is rigid and it is a finite thing. His
I
version of
mean,
like a
if you
code.
pay
It's
him,
yeah,
he will get the job done. Like that's
right.
like his thing.
But not always, because if it goes against his code, he will not. He's done that before where he spared people. He
Like
spared,
in the Force Unleashed
I think, the
comics.
child of a Jedi. Yeah, in the comics, there was one that he was sent to kill a possible Jedi, and that hatred was also passed down from his father because of Mace Windu, which is understandable.
Yeah.
But he spared this guy once he found out he was actually a child of a illegitimate child of a Jedi who was there at the Battle of Geonosis. So he felt that connection, and he's like, "This isn't honorable. It goes against my code." So he won't. Like he won't take it, but he will not hesitate to put you down. If also he thinks if it's merciful, he'll put you down. He won't even think twice.
Yeah. You can
Um,
run, but you'll only die tired.
yeah. Well, you thought like this one dude couldn't pay him, and who he had Boba had the feeling that he kind of wanted to die anyway because his wife was gone, and so pew gone. Yeah. So he is not hesitant to put people down, and yeah, he always wanted to live kind of he wanted to live like a bounty hunter, but when he tried to live like as a family man, it didn't work. I could
I think
see in the show comparatively, I his motivations have not been made clear
How
yet.
long is the show gonna last?
7, I think, or 8 episodes,
Yeah.
and we just finished with number 3, and
and you still don't know his motivations.
still
4
don't know
weeks
his
until I could binge
motivations.
it.
That's crazy that they're
No,
taking 3 episodes to actually tell you what he wants.
yeah, if you
Like,
want to well, episodes 1 and 2 set up something, and actually episode 2 was a little divisive, but I kind of liked it. I'm like, oh, it's slower paced, and it's setting us up for something, and they immediately drop it in episode 3. So I'm like, oh, I'm feeling my sequel PTSD is starting to get
oh, that
triggered
sucks.
in
Oh
the last
man.
episode, yeah, and they ruined a couple things because
See,
they've already ruined the Force and this, and they've already, but yeah, enough hatred. It's just like, oh no, not that.
Less
Okay, we'll
canon,
well,
check
more
that off the
legends.
list.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
why
more
I don't
legends.
even bother watching these types of things anymore because
Yeah,
the story is so much better in Legends. Like
it
Boba Fett
is.
is so much cooler in Legends. Yeah, and like there's a lot of nuance in his journey, because like you said, he does always have like an altered sense of the Mandalorian code that's really rigid, but at least
Mhm.
early on in his life, he really was resistant to actually going along with that whole Mandalorian thing. because in his eyes it got his dad killed. And he's
Right.
like, I'm not, and like he has to grow to basically step into his dad's shoes and like pick up that legacy. And like it's kind of crazy, it like comes full circle. It's like Lucas says, it's like poetry, it rhymes because he was created to pick up his dad's legacy, and
Mhm.
like he's literally to be a bounty hunter like that. He
He
kind of
is.
like rejects the Mandalorian code, but like his dad was Mandalore, and then he ends up having to become Mandalore. And like I just remember, I think it was in Legacy of the Force where he's like thinking back over like how he decided to step into that role, and he really didn't want to do it at all. And he even admits to himself that like he had to come to accept it. And I just really thought that that was cool. It's not just like badass for badass sake. Like, you know, he is Boba Fett, but he also grows and changes. And I mean, he had some cool moments too. Like, it feels
Right.
like they're getting rid of so much where, he's like gonna be this mob boss on Tatooine, which is cool, I suppose. But like the
It's not
Mandalorians under
very
him were
honorable.
It's
yeah, and like
one, two, three. Can you be a mob boss when you only control 6 people?
yeah, I guess technically, I don't know. I don't know
And
what
like most of them are just like punked kids that like have no talent or skill or
yeah, it's just
yeah.
like, and
It's not
then
Fennec Shan. I mean, she's
they
more Boba than he is. Like she's more ruthless. Like we got to do this. You know, we need to be cut dry. Why are you letting him go? And Boba's like, yeah, go let him go. It'll be okay. It'll be okay.
that doesn't sound like
Mm-mm.
Boba.
That's what I'm saying. It's not. It doesn't feel like him to
And
me.
it just precludes all these like really awesome moments. Like the Mandalorians under Boba were the only people to successfully repel the Yuzan Vong by themselves in like this huge epic battle that like literally broke the planet open. And they're like
Hmm.
outnumbered and outgunned, and like now we're never gonna get to see that moment. And because how on earth could you end up in a place like that from a mob boss on Tatooine? It's like, Jabba the Hutt doesn't get into those kinds of moments.
And Boba Fett, he doesn't stay in the same place for very long.
Yeah,
And
he's a
yeah,
wanderer.
he's a wanderer. Um, and I figured if Boba Fett was captured, if he was injured to almost the point of death, but then he was captured by some people and they chained him up and he escaped, what do you think he would do
Oh, everybody?
to the people that captured him?
Yeah, he would literally kill everybody.
Okay.
Like, like in bad ways.
Exactly. And it didn't
Yeah,
happen.
like you don't
Very
capture
opposite.
Boba Fett. You kill him when you have a chance.
Right. Yeah. And I think taking away that also that this is a PG version. There's no blood, there's no real fighting, it's
That
very watered down.
sucks.
But also I also know that his story has been changed previously by Lucas because I think George Lucas said when he was writing, I think episode 2, that Boba Fett or Jango Fett were no longer Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And I know that reset the legends around Boba Fett as well. So there's stories of him, like you said, being the Mandalorian in charge, but also there's stories of him not like do having other paths or so it's interesting that
Yeah,
he's like
like
his real third
Tales of the
reboot.
Bounty Hunters had like a bit of a different version of him,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like a different backstory almost.
What was that
Yeah.
one, Kyle?
Uh, I haven't read it in like a while, but like it was just like a bit of like a different thing where like he was more of like I don't know. I'm blanking. Have you read Tales of the Bounty Hunters? Either of you?
Not in a long, long time.
That's how I am.
Right.
Yeah. I remember vaguely, but I do remember when Lucas was like, yeah, he's not a Mandalorian, and like everybody was like, see, like he's not a Mandalorian. But they ended up reconciling that later on by having early Boba Like that's kind of what I was mentioning before, where like when he's younger and we first see him, especially like right after Return of the Jedi, he is very vehemently against the whole Mandalorian thing, and he outright blames the dedication to it to like why his dad got killed. So he just completely avoids it. Like he uses the armor because it's the best thing that there is, and like it's his dad's armor and so it's but and then he hasn't I can't remember what it was in. It's been so very long, but he ends up coming around to the Mandalorian thing like almost by accident, if I remember correctly. And like he's really pissed off about it and then he ends up basically accepting the fact that this is also a part of his father's legacy and that he has to live up to that as well. And he steps into being Mandalore right before New Jedi Order starts. Because I know, and like this is one of my favorite Boba Fett things too, because he is there at the very beginning of New Jedi Order when the Vong arrive. Like they have it set up so that he's there to witness them arriving. And like right away he's like, we are not gonna win. So he pretends to work for them. Like he's like, all right, just pay me, and like you got it. And then he uses the Mandalorians to spy, like right underneath their nose, and they turn coat. Oh man, it's just like such a badass moment. And I can't remember who he's talking to, but it's in the comics and it's in one of the books. And he's like talking to one of his Mandalorian buddies. He's like, credits. He's like, we'll tell him we're in it for the credits and we're gonna watch everything. You're just like, yeah, like this. Oh man, it's like you
He
guys
could be
just
a
put a
little
coil
sadistic.
viper. Yeah,
Yeah, he
exactly.
could be. He
It's
really
like
could be.
it's like scary. It's
And
like fuck.
I think that's also the last point I was going to make before about main characteristics of him or what drives him is that he always struggled with that part of himself, where he really did not want to be good, but wanted to like where's the line? I mean, no one taught him. He was self-taught or was taught by his dad.
I mean,
And so within
even
himself, it's
besides
like the
that,
anger. Yeah, the anger
It's
and
in his
knowing like,
DNA.
yeah, pretty
and I
much.
mean,
Exactly. I mean,
he
what,
had
eight
like
year
Aura
hatred of Han
Singh.
Solo or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like right after his dad died, he was hanging out with like Bosk and like Aura Singh, like
Hmm.
n not exactly prime
That
role
was in the
models.
Clone Wars show, I think.
Is
Yeah.
that from Rebels or yeah, that's from
N-
Rebels, isn't it?
No,
No,
it's
I
just in
thought
the
that
Clone
was
Wars show, because, like, there's
yeah.
episodes
Okay.
in season 2 where, like, he was going after Mace Windu.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. Okay,
Do
that
you
was
want to
Try and
talk
like
about the
last
get his
Clone
season.
Wars
vengeance.
backstory, or...
Sure, if you
He
want
had,
to.
like, a different version in, like, those old Young Readers books, and then a separate version in the Clone Wars TV show.
He had I didn't even realize. See, because TCW is another one that I'll be honest, I haven't watched. I've only watched Mortis just
What?
because I can't forgive Filoni for overriding so much of the
It's
timeline.
good on its own. Like, it's
Yeah,
not...
Yeah, it's good on it. It is good on its own. It's the best
It
thing besides
foobarred
the movies.
Legends, but, like, it's high-quality stuff, it just didn't fit with Legends. That's how I feel
Hmm.
about
and
like certain new canon elements like the Mandalorian and like other things.
yeah, The
It's good, but
Mandalorian
it's
is.
not Legends.
So there were rumors actually before The Mandalorian came out or he was announced that it was going to be a Boba Fett show. And that it wasn't going to be, it was going to be called The Mandalorian, but there wasn't supposed to be an original character. It was supposed to be Boba Fett.
Yeah.
I can
And
I can totally see it.
they actually were, and that was the problem. Is that they really liked the premise of Boba Fett, so they just changed his name and turned it to a different show. But the parallels are very eerie between the show and the Mandalorian show. Like it's pretty much the same thing. It's very, but except this Boba Fett is nothing like Din Djarin, who, like I said, more Boba Fett there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I mean it
unfortunately for him.
jives if he was written to be Boba Fett originally, then it makes sense,
Hmm.
because he
I think
is
they couldn't
way
get.
more.
I don't think they could get Morrison at that point, and so they scrapped it. Though, why they don't recast, I don't know. I
Me
mean,
either.
he's going to be younger. So, yeah, that's a problem when I think Tamora Morrison was the age on episode 2 that we would need him to be right now for the show, like in his early 40s.
Yeah. He's I mean, he's a great actor, don't get me wrong,
Mhm.
but he's definitely that was one of the things in some of the pictures I've seen. I'm like, he looks a little old.
Yeah.
You can see
And
that
just,
Boba's got a little bit of a tummy. Little bit of a tummy.
he did get, I mean, during Mandalorian,
The
it
Sarlacc juices
was more
gave
so.
him wrinkles.
It just, he had an allergic reaction and it made him all puffy.
He's like, I'm
That's
still
it.
healing. I gotta take
Yeah,
back to bats.
he does. He takes many back to bath, and that leads to a bunch of flashbacks. That leads to other things that led nowhere. So
Well,
just so you
fair enough,
know,
man.
yeah, and that was actually clever. And we thought, oh wow, they're actually doing something. They're actually setting him up. Because as much as we know we love Legends, and I love Legends, I know Disney has it now, and I'm okay with Disney having it if they would actually not contradict as much as possible what has already been written and maybe incorporate more of it. Why they don't, it's already been well written and had its time to be thought out and well planned, a lot of it, not all of it. But if they actually took those ideas and fed them into the main storylines in canon now, I think more people would be on board. But definitely anyone, I think if you just saw Boba Fett in Return in episode 5 and 6 and saw this, you would think it sucked. Like bad. Like it's nothing like Boba Fett from what's set up in those 2 movies. If you watched Clone Wars, I think what Kyle said the last season when he came in, I could see it kind of setting up more of a gentler Boba Fett. It's kind of a where he
Yeah, he had a bit of a
struggles.
soft spot in the Clone Wars.
Right.
I wish he would
Well,
have
it's
gotten a
like
few more
yeah.
episodes of the show.
Right, yeah. And I think it did always struggle even in the material too. It's like, well, and is this on my code? And is this not that he actually is the right thing, but it was like in himself, like knowing that he couldn't ever get people not to love him, but in order to love people, like he was married and had a child, in order to love them, he had to let go of the hatred that he was possessing of hunting down the Jedi. And then he had this hatred towards Han Solo. And when you're motivated by hatred, rather than just cut dry, cold, this is a job, I'm going to do my job, there's no emotion to it. But when he felt that hatred emotion, I think is when he struggled. He knew it wasn't beneficial for him. But he had no hesitation of putting him down. It was just logic for him. It was very logical.
I just don't like Boba with a soft spot just feels so wrong. Like this is the man that Darth Vader had to be like, no disintegrations. And like
Right.
you can see how disappointed he is.
Oh, even through the
You know what I
mask. It's
mean?
like, oh.
And he's like, God damn it.
Like in the
Right?
Clone Wars,
Yeah.
he just won't even shoot people. Like he hesitates a
Yeah,
bunch and
like
like refuses.
that just doesn't
Like
Yeah.
line up to me. Like Boba Fett's the kind of guy that shoots first and asks questions later. You know, he's a consummate professional, but he's not the type of person that's gonna hesitate. You know, and
Well,
like even
yeah.
more than that, he takes pleasure in being good at his job. You know, so like and like his job's not a nice thing. Like he's a
Mm,
bounty hunter. He hunts people. And
right.
like, to take pleasure in that kind of work, you kind of have to be a hard man or woman, like I don't see very many soft edges on the type of person that can find satisfaction in hunting down other thinking beings.
He was also very stealthy. I don't think he just would shoot first and ask questions later. I thought he knew ahead of time. He was a very fast thinker, fast learner, and had very fast reflexes. So
That's true.
he went
I'm
in with a situation in mind. It was like, what do I do
he
here?
does a
If he
lot
felt
of
threatened or like people, or if he felt like, oh, you're crazy, bam, you're dead. Like
I'm
That
trying to
that he would respond
remember.
to, but he did work on some of his feelings, but mostly it was like, am I getting paid for this? Not
You
getting
know,
paid, I'm not
it
bothering
might
with
have been
you.
in Legacy of the Force, but now that you mention that, there's a great scene. I think it's in Legacy of the Force, but he like goes in undercover
Hmm.
into like a casino or something like that, and he takes off all his armor. He even leaves his helmet behind. He's like, people don't really know what I look like because they just know the helmet. And
I
like
know, yeah.
he like goes in and scopes the whole place out, and it's like a whole chapter where he's being like super methodical. He's going over the whole building like top to bottom. He knows where all the exits are, where all the cameras are. You know, he's like, so yeah, you're right in that regard. Like, I guess what I meant more was that, you know, if you're his target, he's not gonna, you know, like
Yeah.
you're done. You know, like if the docket says dead or alive, he's gonna shoot you, and he's gonna bring you
Yep.
back.
He's not going to show you like mercy at that point.
Yeah, and like it's. I even think he says something like that in Bounty Hunter Wars, where he's like, "You don't have to worry." And I think they stole that line in Mandalorian. Now that I'm
Mm.
thinking more about it, but he's like, if the target's dead, you don't have to worry about him stabbing you in the back. You know, so
Yeah.
it's like he's like, I'll bring him in alive if it says to bring him in alive. And like you said, he won't kill people. Like if he legitimately feels like it's wrong, he won't do it. But like
And
if
I
it
like
says,
how and I like how he is an actual antagonist in the
yeah,
stories. Because it seems like now they're making all the antagonists anti-heroes or softening them up to be a soft protagonist. And
yeah, and that's what I mean is
yeah.
Boba does not feel like that. Like he's a
Mm-mm.
hard man. He's a hard man.
Yeah.
You know, like he's not an anti-hero. Like he's a scary dude. You
Don't
know,
want to
and
mess with him. And it's good to have those
He's
people.
more
We
like a
want
chill
to be
villain.
scared.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
He's like uh what's that dude's name? He's like Vegeta in the first season of Dragon Ball Z before he became an anti-hero. And he's like actually trying to destroy the Earth.
A bit like Thrawn in the new canon almost.
Yeah, I can see that more he's methodical. He really does think things through, but he's very fast at it.
He's a
So, yeah,
professional.
yeah, he's a yes. I mean, like I said,
Like a physically
he was
fit, violent
created to do
Thrawn.
this. Yeah. Yeah.
Thrawn,
Oh yeah. Without blue skin.
I only really know Thrawn from Legends. I'm like Disney illiterate, but
He's more like an anti-hero in the Disney stuff.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Like an anti-hero at worst.
I
I
don't even
love the
know. Would
Thrawn
you call
trilogy.
him? I don't want to. We can talk about Thrawn next time.
I'd compare it to like an
But
outbound flight, maybe.
Hmm.
That's how I'd
I
say
don't
it.
even know if
That's
I
what I'd
would
say it's
call
like.
Thrawn a villain. He's just like I don't know. But we should
Just a
talk about
badass.
him. We should talk about him next time. We could probably talk for 3 hours about Thrawn.
Oh yeah. There's a lot about Thrawn.
He
And
is
I've read all the new ones. There's a
I
new
have
one that
not
just
read the.
came out
Yeah, new
too.
one just came out like a couple months ago.
Yeah, I read all of them, and then
I
the
have
old
not read
ones,
the new
all of them.
ones.
So you just audible it. It's a great listen to.
I've just
they're
had so
good
little
though?
time
Yeah,
recently.
They're
They're
written
good.
by Zahn, right?
They're good in that they don't like I said, Disney, just don't contradict too much. Just have it be compatible with what we already know about the character, and you're building the character up instead of completely replacing him or her
Zen
with
was like the
people we
one
don't know.
author who was chill with the Legends cancellation.
Yeah.
Well, he got hired by Disney. Didn't he write their first book? It was about Thrawn, I thought, right? Like for
It's
the new
not
canon
Timothy
EU.
Zahn, is it? Is it Timothy
Yeah.
Zahn? Yeah.
hmm Yeah,
And I think
he's
this also has Thrawn as a younger person, the new one. So it doesn't really compete with the Heir to the Empire trilogy.
They have a bunch like
Um,
set in like the Clone Wars and before.
yeah, and he was in Rebels, I believe.
Yeah, he was in
yeah,
Rebels, so it's like
I
an
heard about it in
antagonist
that.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got killed by whales.
But
It's
yeah, Boba Fett. And knowing Boba Fett, what was your guys' favorite tool that he used? Like his weapon?
Honestly, his blaster rifle, I think it's called the E9.
Hmm.
I love that thing. It like because it's a long range rifle. It's for marksmanship and like you can use it in some of the video games. It's my favorite rifle. You
I
get it
don't
in
really have like a
Battlefront.
preference.
I mean, he's literally a walking arsenal. Let's see, what does he have? He has crushed gauntlets. He's got his blasters. He's got a surface air rocket on his back. He's got flamethrowers. I know I'm forgetting stuff.
Doesn't he have a short range missile and like
Oh yeah, yeah.
knee
He's got
missiles or something?
yeah. He's got the grenade launcher on his wrist, the grappling hook. Dude makes Batman seem like he goes out unprepared.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
It
is
would
really
be
cool.
nice to see him use one of those things.
He doesn't use any of his gadgets? What?
I don't even think he remembers he has a jetpack. Like, I don't think he even remembers
What?
he owns anything. Though I don't even know if he has them. It's confusing because you go into a Sarlacc pit and there's all the acid that like disintegrates your stuff. But like when you get out, what do you still have? Because it seems like he still has the armor, but I don't know if he has any of his tools. You think he would since they're all attached, but
Like a video game, he had to start over at level 1.
yeah, yeah,
That sucks.
it does. I see, I don't know.
Like his equipment is like half of the reason. I mean, Boba himself is most of the reason why he's so dangerous, but like his equipment is like half of the reason why he's so dangerous. In Jedi Academy, there's an entire level where I don't know if you've ever played that game, but you
That
play
level
as like
sucked.
as a what? You
Yeah,
didn't
like one
like
of the
Jedi
worst level.
Academy?
The game was badass. That was like the worst level in the game though.
Oh, the Boba Fett level, yeah.
Yeah, it sucked.
It was horrifying for me the first time because it's literally just you and Boba Fett in a dead city on Ord Mantell, and you're trying to destroy weapons that
He
he
goes
has
down
been
kind of
sent to
easy though.
collect. Not for me. The first time I went up against him, because he's got that jetpack, and
You
it's
gotta
like,
get good.
dude, it was like fucking trying to run from the Predator, and like, like you're a Jedi, like you have a lightsaber and the Force and everything, and he's
Guns.
got this fucking jetpack, and he just like rains missiles on you. And like it's horrifying. You go through these doors and you're like, please don't let him be on the other side. And like you'll walk through and he won't be there, and then you'll hear the jetpack. Oh man, that was a great level. I can't believe you didn't like it.
I just thought that it wasn't very interesting to me. Like, I don't
I
know.
mean,
He didn't feel
it,
threatening.
he felt threatening to me. Maybe it's just
Maybe if
because
it
I'm
was at
bad at
like the
video
beginning
games.
of the game where like you weren't very powerful, it would have been different. But it's like close to the end of the game, wasn't it?
It's like halfway. I think it's like the halfway point.
Is it in the second cluster?
It's after yeah, it's after you have some powers for sure. Because you can actually
Maybe if it
like
was in like the
jump around
first
and do
cluster, it would
shit.
have been better.
Yeah, you're probably
I
right.
thought it was in the third
It,
cluster for some reason.
it would have been like impossible because in the first cluster you're like a brand new Padawan, like can barely even force jump. He would mop the floor with you. We didn't get enough. Boba Fett, fun Boba Fett trivia. He lightsaber dueled Darth Vader twice.
It was in the third cluster. I just looked it up.
What's that, Donna?
The Boba Fett level was in the third cluster.
I can't hear. Donna's mic went out, but it wasn't the third cluster.
Donna, your mic went out.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I
Yeah,
can hear you.
yeah, there we
Sorry,
go.
it got unplugged. That's why I have another mic for voice recording. This one, the cord sometimes slips. But I was wondering what I know Darth Vader. What Darth Vader hired him a few times, and do you think Darth Vader respected Boba Fett? Like, what do you think the kind
I think
of
so.
how he felt about Boba Fett?
Well, I don't think.
He's a tool.
Yeah, but a very, very useful one for
Mm.
sure. And he does hold like Darth Vader, like people
He
sleep
gives
on
him
Darth
Han
Vader.
Solo.
Yeah, that's true. People sleep on Vader, but like he's legitimately one of the scariest and most powerful beings like in all of Star Wars. Boba Fett doesn't have the Force, and he hangs with Darth Vader in a lightsaber fight twice. I mean, he does lose both times, but
He's
Still,
alive.
yeah, you know
That's
what I
all his
mean? Like,
limbs.
he's alive, not once, but twice. I think the first time was when Vader hired him to track down. Well, the first time chronologically in terms of publishing was a comic. Fuck, what did he hire him for? I can't remember what he hired him for, but he tries to like Vader tries to like not pay Boba Fett or something, and Boba Fett's like, yeah, right, boy. And then the second time was The Force Unleashed, which I love, but he hires Boba Fett to track down Galen, and Boba Fett finds out that Vader's doing all kinds of weird twisted shit with Django's like gene seed.
Yeah, the
So it's like
clones.
his
I think that was
yeah,
in the
he's like
Force Unleashed comics.
yeah, that was the Force Unleashed comics. And
That
then
was the clone that they were making them super fast. Like they were fully developed within like weeks or
yeah,
months
the
instead
the,
of
the
like
Sparty
15
clones.
years.
Yep.
It was, yeah, so they got mentally, they within a year they became like mentally unstable. And
Yep.
that's another thing that I wish that if Disney wanted to tackle a topic um, for discussion, they should tackle cloning. I said
Yeah.
this in my Bad Batch stream, and I'll say it here. They do not talk about cloning enough and the implications of it, and look at the moral implications of it, and what it means to the galaxy to have created
Does Bad
millions of
Batch get into that
people
at
to
all? I
kill
haven't
them
seen
off.
it yet.
No, and I talked about that vividly. I'm like, why don't they have a discussion where they talk about cloning and its implications to people and how, if it's wrong, and what is your obligations to the people that you create? Like,
Yeah.
obviously, they probably weren't having pensions or any kind of medical health
You
thing,
know what's
you know?
crazy is that Boba Fett would be a perfect vehicle to explore that through too, because in
Yeah.
Legends, the way that they dealt with that was the clones had a built-in genetic disease that caused them to die. I think it was within 40 years or something like that.
Yeah, that would probably have been more helpful to keep that, because they just keep going on. But
Yeah.
what happened in the Bad Batch, at the end of that, when they go to Kaminoa, I wish they would have done with Boba instead, because that would have been the perfect thing for him to do, and him to like have a conclusion to that place
Yeah, I mean in
and
Legends he has to
basically
like
watch it
go on this
burn.
crazy adventure to cure himself because
Yeah.
he gets sick and like he starts dying and he finds out that's how he doesn't even know about it until he starts to get sick. And he goes to the doctor and they're like, "Yeah, somebody you got clone disease, my friend." And he's like, "What?" And then he ends up finding another group of clones that also like that's how he cures himself. He finds another group that managed to cure themselves and like they're
Mm,
trying to live normal lives like 40 years later. Like it is a really cool story. It would be cool to see them do something like that.
yeah.
Mhm.
That would have been a perfect thing to explore in
Yeah, and
Boba
he's the
Fett.
man to do it with too. I can't believe that they like
A
man,
lot
I'm
of
gonna
missed
have to watch
opportunities.
it now just to see how awful it is.
Yeah, all the missed opportunities they could have taken with the direction, because we're still on Tatooine in episode 3. All 3 are on Tatooine,
Well,
and I'm sick and tired of Tatooine. We're gonna see it in the Kenobi show for sure. I mean, we better, because that's the whole thing. He's supposed to be
yeah.
staying. His ass should be grounded on that planet.
Yeah.
I doubt it
Yeah.
Have
at
you read
this
the
point.
Kenobi novel?
Yes, I've read all the. I have all the Kenobi things.
Yeah, it's
Hmm.
good.
He's a
It's
big Kenobi
great.
fan.
Are you? Oh, we should talk about Kenobi. Oh my gosh, that'll be a sick stream.
That'd be a good. Yeah, that'd be a
Oh,
Yeah.
good
I could
stream.
talk Kenobi for hours
We gotta
and
make like a
hours.
list of like ideas for these.
Yeah,
We can do Kenobi next
exactly.
time. I'm down. I
Well,
could talk about
we
him
can
for a
do
while
Kenobi
too.
closer to the show. Like, it'd be
Oh
nice to
yeah,
do
that's a good
before
idea.
and after the show Kenobi discussion.
Like a
Yeah, that's a good
before the
idea.
show Kenobi discussion about like Legends Kenobi, and then like comparing that after
Yes,
the show comes out.
It is a
perfect.
bit unfortunate that they're not exploring more locations. Because like again, Boba's the one to do it with. Like he's a roaming bounty hunter. You could have a new planet
Hmm.
every episode.
I think the
Right.
Mandalorian did a good job with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Exactly.
Mandalorian.
That's another
Yeah,
thing Mandalorian did, that like Mandalorian gets the iconic ship. that people know its name,
I do love that
and
ship.
Boba Fett
It's a
doesn't
nice
get
ship.
that. Mandalorian gets the cool jetpack
Wait,
and the
what?
cool
What happened to
Boba Fett
weapons.
is
Slave
Slave
One?
1.
What happened to Slave One? What?
No idea. We haven't.
There's
He's still on the
no
planet. That he's.
fucking way in hell he let that ship go. That was his dad's ship.
Maybe
It might
Hondo
be
got it
docked
again.
somewhere. God,
Oh
who
my
knows?
God.
He hasn't left the planet either in current time nor in flashbacks.
Oh
In
my
his
God.
flashbacks, he's still on it. Except for these weird little clippets of him as a kid remembering Jango Fett like driving away in the spaceship. So you see it that, but it's all CG and it's obvious. Like they took the kid that was young Boba Fett and just made this like a log cut scene and then took it up and like spliced it in at points. You could tell it's the same scene. I'm like, guys, we saw this already. He doesn't keep flashing back to the exact same moment of his life every time. That and Tatooine. More Tatooine. It's all
That's so
Tatooine.
disappointing because like
It is.
he is the
Listen, I'm not
one to
missing too much.
go to all these weird
No.
places. Like I said, like even in just Bounty Hunter Wars, like he goes all over Hut space. Like he goes to that asteroid, which is this really
Mhm.
crazy location because it's like just like a giant spider web. He goes to the Hut space, which is like a moon around a gas giant, and like that's why the shell huts have their thing. They're so fat that they built droids to carry themselves around, and then they like built armor on them and stuff. And like you see, like it's like the same stuff, but like
Yes.
a new twist on it. Like another different corner of the galaxy. And he really is the person to do that with. It's just really shocking that they
It
what a
is
missed
terrible.
opportunity, like you said.
I don't know what their budget for this show is, but I swear it's like nothing because it seems like they took all the sets they had in Mandalorian and reused all of that
Yeah.
and added a throne room area that we saw at the very end of Mandalorian to show us what the book of Boba Fett was coming. And that little room really is all we get of his palace or anything else.
That's
There's a
ridiculous.
couple other little locations, but
Listen, I'm not
it's
missing too much by not watching the show yet.
no. I mean, wait. I mean, even Tamora Morrison said, "Wait till the last episode. You'll love it." I'm like, "Oh, great! We'll get 7 episodes of crap and one
Yeah,
good
like
one
come on.
to
Yeah.
remember it fondly." Because apparently, people these days have no memory of like what happened
How much
two
does it
episodes
tie
ago,
into like The
which
Mandalorian so far?
it's very similar in that there's gonna be how we saw the Mandalorian what he was doing with the Gaddafi stick.
Yeah.
It kind of and like he had this journey of how he got it and like just kind of like foreshadowing right before that, which I think is 5 years later. So I don't know if he's been on Tatooine from he just landed there in Return of the Jedi and hasn't until after that, until he gets his armor, I think, which is kind of weird. Because he's just like hanging out, but then it
Wait, I'm really
flashed.
confused because he finds his armor again in The Mandalorian, right?
Right. So I don't
So
know.
how does he lose his armor? I thought that the whole thing was that the guy that had his armor found it after he fell into the Sarlacc pit.
So
But
Return of the Jedi,
he has his armor in Book of Boba Fett, right?
I thought Book of Boba
yeah.
Fett was like immediately after Mandalorian.
I have no idea.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I haven't seen
That's
it yet.
the thing. The flashback.
So
Yeah, the flashbacks are to when he got out of the Sarlacc pit.
okay.
So
Okay, gotcha.
so he goes through that process right after Return of the Jedi. But I don't. Yeah, and then so yeah, I guess so that makes sense because that would
Yeah.
be cohesive to
Cool.
that timeline. Yeah, it's hard to tell. Like, which one are we in?
Yeah.
You other remember if you did the back to tank thing? Like, are we in flashback? No.
I mean, it's cool to see Bacta, but I'm really disappointed. Like one of my favorite things about
Mhm.
Star Wars is the aliens and the new planets and stuff. Like they have all these places that they could go to that they've mentioned a million times or that are even big in their own properties, like Manan or Cato Nemoidia. Like Cato Nemoidia is a crazy
Kaden
location
Naimori looks
because
badass. I wish we would have seen it like more than like.
Yeah.
It
yeah,
never
like
shows up. It's just like just a cool location.
it,
Mhm.
it's like less than a minute in Revenge of the Sith, you see it.
And there's like
But
a beginning of an episode in the Clone Wars set on it.
yeah, and that level in The Force Unleashed. I love that level. It's so like thematic because it's Cato Nemoidia and like they live on these like cities flung underneath these they're like hanging cities.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. Yeah, it's like the trippiest
Wow.
thing ever. Like you could go to places like that. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and like Boba Fett's the man to do it. And you stay on
Agree.
Tatooine.
And it's odd because with the new technology, because I know they have that 3D green screen technology now. So we're hoping they'll use that in Kenobi to go different places. But it seems like it'd be easier
I don't
to
think that they
have.
should see Kenobi is the one that they shouldn't leave Tatooine.
Yes, that's what I
You know
thought
what I
too.
mean?
I was like,
Like,
what? So we're got the like really. So yeah, I heard
you know what they
rumors
should
about
have
Kenobi.
done
I'm
for
scared.
Kenobi is they should have made it like a really introspective show, right? They could have because that's what Obi-Wan does during that period of his life. Like he really
The book was
self-reflects.
kind of like that.
It's
Yeah,
very much
yeah,
like that.
exactly.
Very much
Exactly.
his internal struggle. He had nightmares.
Yep, how
He's
he's dealing
tried
with
it.
his
Yep.
PTSD. And then in the
Yeah.
background, they could have set Asherad Het as this like looming threat. Like in the
Yeah.
beginning episodes, it could just be like him trying to survive and like dealing with his memories, and he can hear rumors of the Tuscan tribes uniting. You know what I mean? And then like you can build it up, and like he can start to get to the point where he's like, okay, this is maybe going to be a threat to Luke,
I don't see
and then
Ashura Het ever coming into the new canon though.
but it would be so cool. Like he could travel Tatooine. He could go to the Dune Sea. He could like go up into the
Right.
mountains. Like you could show like all these different areas of Tatooine, except besides fucking Mos Eisley for the millionth time, and like really have this like introspective singular journey that he has to go on by himself. And then at the end of the season, it can end in the duel between him and Het outside of the Lars homestead.
They kind of wasted like Maul almost with like Rebels. They could have had like the Maul versus Kenobi thing be like the main end battle for the Kenobi show, but they ended up kind of wasting it.
I always said that Maul should like him
Yeah.
coming back should have been a one-off arc. He should have been killed at the end of it. And like it would have been another thing like for Obi-Wan where he's about to go from being a knight to a master and he's got to make peace with all the terrible feelings that are left over.
Yeah, because Maul was
Like
badass in the Clone Wars, the TV show, but
yeah.
like he was just there in Rebels and he didn't really do much. It was just kind of
And
like meh.
they dragged it out
They
too
should
long.
have killed him
Yeah.
at.
After his first arc, he should have been killed off like for good. You know what I mean? Somehow,
I think there's
somehow.
Mhm.
potential to have him doing something during like the Dark Times. However, they wasted that with Rebels, I think, and they didn't like set it up properly.
I didn't like him coming back at all. I'm like, this is stupid. You cut him in half.
I actually quite liked him coming back, but
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
cool with him coming back just because,
I think Clone
like
Wars did it well.
yeah.
just because like it's a good story for Obi-Wan because that's like one of the traumatic points in his life and
Hmm.
he's like at a point in that moment where he comes back where he's trying to teach Anakin and like it would
Yeah.
show that he's not necessarily perfect yet. Like he still has to make peace with the feelings left over from Qui-Gon's death. And like
Well, I like how they ended it though. I just thought it was done with him and Savage and like
yeah,
that whole
that
thing
that
is the
was
spider legs. Like
they
I
dragged it
like,
out way too
yeah, I
long.
do like how he and Obi-Wan were like two sides of the same coin of
I
like
Yeah,
the
that
liked
part's
Maul
Emperor's
better than
puppets.
Savage.
Yeah,
But that's what
for
I mean. And
sure.
then the end of the arc,
Savage was
Obi-Wan
a bit of a dumbass.
realizes that him and
Mhm.
Maul are two sides of the same coin, and then makes a
Right.
conscious decision to not be like Maul. And then
Yeah.
Maul dies somehow. I don't know. May,
No, Maul. Him and Maul confront each other, and Maul's like, we were both used by the Emperor, and Obi-Wan realizes that, but Maul comes after him, and it's really cool. Some people don't like it, but I love it. It's only like 3 strikes, but he learned from his duel before with Maul, and he just cut him down, and
are you talking
but
about the
then
Rebels one?
yeah, and then he
Oh
just
yeah,
holds
I've
him in
seen
his
that fight.
arms, and he dies in his. It's just kind of like
I like that too.
it's peace for both of them. I do. That's one of the most satisfying, I think, endings for character.
Yeah.
instead we've seen, at least in the new ones.
But hey, guys, I'll tell you what. We're kind of drifting a little bit off Boba Fett, and we've been
Yeah.
talking for about an hour. I am exhausted,
Oh.
so
Any
I'm
other
gonna go to
Boba Fett
bed.
stuff to add? Real fast. Is
I
anyone else?
mean,
Kyle, do you have anything?
Have any of you ever read the Boba Fett Enemy of the Empire series of comics? It was one of those like weird '90s ones, and it was kind of meh. It has a
which
pretty
one?
cool enemy.
Dark
It's the one
Times?
Boba Fett Enemy of the Empire. It's the one where he goes to that like weird lava planet.
Oh, fuck. I feel like I read that a long time ago.
It's kind of forgettable.
What does he do there? He fights something, right?
He fights Vader.
Yeah, okay,
Oh.
that was the one that I was talking about. That was the first fight. That was the first fight that I was talking
Yeah,
about
because I'm
before the
actually have it
Force
like right here. He ends up like getting Vader like on the ground. I'm not. The background's fucking with it.
Yeah, yeah. It's all right. But
Can we
yeah,
Uh,
put it
that's the
like
one I
over
was
your
talking
face?
about. That's the first one chronologically speaking where
yeah, because he has
he
like.
fights
I'm not
Vader.
sure if you can see this well. He has Vader
Ah,
like on the ground on his back, and then kind of just like lets him be.
That's the shit.
Uh,
Boba
yeah,
Fett.
that's
Not once but
cool.
twice. Not once
Yes.
but twice. And he walked away.
yeah.
Ooh.
All right, guys. This was fun chatting. The
This
Yeah.
next
had a
one we
vibe.
should Yeah, for sure. The next one we should do either Thrawn or Kenobi. I'm down for either one.
We could do Thrawn first, and then we could do
Oh yeah, save
Kenobi.
Kenobi for the show. Yeah, good.
Yeah,
Good point.
Yeah, we should
Kenobi.
save Kenobi until when like the show's about to come out.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Do we
That's a
know
good
when that
point.
happens?
Soon, I
I think it's supposed to be
think.
like sometime in 2022.
I think in February.
Or are we getting Cassian first?
Let me see. I can look real
We
quick.
could look up their schedule and then kind of plan them around that.
Kenobi release.
It's 6 episodes. It's supposed to come out sometime in 2022.
Yeah, no solid date. Just
Hmm,
sometime in 2022. Maybe this summer.
that'd be cool.
But we'll figure it out. All
It'd be
right.
cool if it was May 4th.
Yeah, that would be cool,
Yeah.
but we'll see if they know how to plan that well.
Right.
I don't know if I'd trust it.
We'll see.
Not when you hear things about, but it's all right. We don't have to end. Good.
I
Guys,
think
this
Kenobi's
was
supposed to come out before Andor, and then everything else comes after that. But Andor and Kenobi are both for sure supposed to come out in 2022.
so. I
Okay.
mean, hopefully it's soon.
Yeah, so we could talk about something with Endor.
I'll probably watch
Andor.
Kenobi for sure. That'd be cool.
I'm kind of met
Oh,
on
yeah.
Andor. I don't think it's a very good idea.
Well,
Well, we
I like
can-
it because it might get us the hell off of Tatooine. We're supposed
Yeah.
we're supposed to be in Coruscant for Andor.
Oh, that'd be cool.
And I'm excited not for Andor, but for like everything around Andor.
Well,
I just think it's
we should.
it
we
could be
should
good.
talk
I was
about,
thinking like before the Bad Batch came out that like how are they gonna make a show of the Bad Batch? It's just like this one-off thing for 4 episodes, and it
Well,
apparently was supposed to be pretty good, from what I've
we
heard.
should talk about when
It
Andor
could be like
comes
that.
out. We'll talk
I could
about
send you my
Operation
live stream,
Skyhook.
Kyle, to that one.
I need to watch Bad Batch sometime. I have like a lot of
Yeah.
stuff I want to do, but not a lot of time to do it.
Mhm.
Yeah, doesn't get any easier, man. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
But all right, guys, I'm going to bed.
All
This was a
right.
lot of fun. Right, everybody, make sure that you stay well out there. Keep your eyes open for more conclave information because we're going to keep updating you as the nonprofit process, keeps moving forward. Slap a like on the video if you enjoyed your time, and maybe think about subscribing. Yeah. All right.
What's
May the
funny is we
force
only
be
have
with you
3
guys.
playbacks and like 2 were from me. So I don't think we had like we had one guy in the chat, MFHY space BBITD. I'm not even sure what this, just some fucking gibberish.
Well,
Really?
journey of 1,000 miles
Yeah.
begins with
Yeah.
but a single step.
First
And
one.
plus, I gotta share it on the
I'm not even sure what this is supposed to mean.
It means have a good night.
I guess
That's what
it's
it
our
means.
first like troll, I guess. Well, do we want to count that like test stream from last week?
No,
Yeah.
Nah, it was just
no.
a
And that's our
test.
first roll.
Yeah, nice.
Well,
We'll
awesome. It
keep
was
it
great
track.
talking Boba with you guys, remembering a good version of Boba.
The Legends version. Keep him
The
alive in
great
your
version.
hearts.
Yes, the great kick-ass bounty hunter type Boba Fett.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, hey,
He's still alive in our hearts.
this is our first attempt. Each one is going to get a bit better, I'm sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
for sure.
And if we get more
Technical
people in here
details.
other than just us three,
We're getting mad at webcam.
Yeah, one of these days.
I'll get a green
He's-
screen so I'm not
We'll
just
see his
like
beautiful
in my
face.
bedroom
Right?
with my bookshelf in the back and my bed in the corner and all that shit.
You need some of those cool LED lights that,
Yeah.
I just need to get that background you got going on.
Yeah?
That's
Yeah.
what I need. Yeah.
Yeah. It's easy. You
That's
just
Yeah,
Yep.
like you can see my
Send
bookshelf
Discord.
in the background.
There you go.
you got your
Oh, yeah.
collection.
There's his collection. I see it.
I
Yeah.
have the whole thing posted to Reddit, but that image is a bit old.
All right. So I guess we'll say bye
All right.
for the live stream part. So,
Yeah.
Later, guys.
Mhm.
all
I
right.
will talk to you later.
Okay, so
Wait.
Bye.